Good morning and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Curare. We've taken a few week hiatus as we've had a couple of vacations. It's summertime, we're coming into August. It's a great time to go on vacation. The weather's been wonderful, so we found ourselves not drinking as much coffee as we usually have, and we took a couple weeks off. So I'm glad to be back. I'm Jerry Ramusak. I'm here with Ian Sons today, and today we're gearing this Coffee with Curare towards our clients, specifically our clients in the more rural locations in America. We all know there's a mass physician shortage in America right now. Lots of people say by the year 2030 we're going to be 150,000 short on physicians. It's really scary things, and we're going to talk to you today about how you as a rural healthcare facility could really do better in your recruitment efforts and secure the physicians that will help grow and keep you in business for many, many generations to come. I'm going to hand it off to Ian to get us started, and let's get going.
Sure. I think one of the primary challenges when you're in maybe a slightly more rural area, a smaller town, is how do you get people to consider your opportunity when they might be thinking, I want to go to the big city, or when maybe there's a number of smaller communities around. How do you make your opportunity stand out? One of the best things that you can do is partner with Curare and work with our team of specialists that can really identify what about your community and job are going to make it unique, what's going to make it stand out. On top of that, we can give you great suggestions about how really to tailor an offer to grab people's attention. There are a lot of things that I think opportunities in smaller towns are able to offer candidates that they aren't going to find in big cities. There's a lot of ancillary revenues, a lot of things that are kind of nice to have, bonuses that a lot of places in bigger cities simply don't offer because they've got the luxury of having a larger pool of candidates to draw from. But one of the things that we really specialize here in Curare is making sure people understand the benefits of where they're going, not just the job. So focusing on things like the cost of living, identifying opportunities for them that are going to keep them close to the things that they enjoy doing, really digging in to find out what is it going to take to get someone who might have never thought about your community to really get excited about it, and that's what we specialize in.
Yeah, and it's like when you go to these rural areas, you get the opportunity to do a lot more a lot of times. It's been statistically said that 85% of physicians want to live and practice in the 15% of the largest cities in America. That leaves a huge drought of 85% of the hospitals out there looking at a small pool of candidates that actually desire these smaller locations. Now, the ones that desire the smaller locations are going to get the pick of their crop, really. They're going to get the best piece of fruits, and they're going to get the best jobs because they're really motivated to go there. They're going to get their foot in the door sooner than most of the folks that come to these rural locations as secondary options. However, it's those secondary options that really fill up a lot of these rural hospitals because in these 15% of big cities, they could only hire so many physicians.
Right.
And what ends up happening is some don't get hired and they end up slipping out to these rural locations, and those are the ones that you really have to pounce on. But the other problem with the big metropolitan area for the candidates that might be watching this morning is they overhire. Every metropolitan area, those 15%, they overhire. And when I go back to saying you get to do more in these rural locations, I recently heard a new term that I hadn't heard, a referologist. Now, you're probably thinking right away, things have gotten really liberal in the last 5 years, lots of pot in lots of states. No, that's not what a referologist does. I asked Ian what a referologist was earlier, and he thought it might be a coral reef physician.
Made sense.
He was wrong too, but I really appreciated the guess. A referologist, and this is going to shock you because some of you are going to realize that you're a referologist and you didn't even know it. A referologist is someone that doesn't even get to practice medicine. They're in bigger cities, and all they do is refer patients out to other physicians. And there's a lot of them out there. And those kinds of positions don't exist in these rural locations. In these rural locations, you get to do it all. You get to see the patients. You get to expand upon your services. You get to grow with the hospital.
Right.
You get to help the infrastructure direction as they grow with major investments as well. There's so many more things you could do at a rural hospital as a physician. I always like to say location, lifestyle, and money are your main factors in choosing an opportunity. In these rural locations, they are challenged with the location aspect of that, but they can make up with it with the money, the lifestyle, and even the practice opportunities themselves.
And I think that's a really important thing for employers or clients to keep in mind, is really emphasizing to physicians, look, when you come here, you're not going to be fighting for market share.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be in a position where it's kind of a roll of the dice. Are we going to do enough marketing? Is there going to be a large enough referral base to keep you busy and generate the earnings you want? We all know that an income guarantee, in essence, can be whatever you're able to agree upon.
Yeah.
But if the earnings aren't there to support it, what good is that guarantee? So
right.
in these types of opportunities where you're saying, Jerry, you grow with the hospital, you grow with your practice, many times that type of growth, that type of earning potential is uncapped, and you're really able to go somewhere and be tremendously successful. I think another really important thing to consider for employers is being decisive and moving quickly. You know, all physicians have a lot of options. It's something that you've likely heard Jerry say a number of times, which is if you are a doctor, you've got an MD or a DO after your name, you're going to find a job somewhere. And so you're not going to be the only fish in the pond that they're looking at. Mm-hmm. So when you identify a candidate and you know that maybe there's something about your opportunity that could present a challenge in securing a commitment, you owe it to yourself to move quickly and get a contract in their hands right away. When they need to make a decision and you've got a good offer in their hands, it's going to be a lot easier for you to secure their services versus taking a position of, well, we want to make sure that you do your due diligence and be confident. Of course you want that. You don't want to force someone into your job. But you've got to be aggressive and look out for your own best interest as well. And by putting a contract in their hands quickly, it's going to give you an opportunity to do just that.
And a lot of that comes to doing the due diligence on the front end. Get all
Yep.
those references checked, get those licenses checked, get the certifications checked, make sure it's a credentialable physician before they step foot on your campus. Make sure it's somebody that if the interview goes well, you could let them leave with the contract, because you got to realize a lot of these physicians that are coming to these more rural areas, they don't have the ties to the area. They don't have they don't know the lay of the land, so on and so forth. So the best thing you could do is make them feel as welcome as possible, as quickly as possible, and nothing throws out the welcome mat more so than a good contract offer.
Yeah.
Going back to the three aspects of the job, location, we're challenged. Money, that's where we could really stick aside. And I'm not saying that as a rural hospital you got to roll out your bank wads and get your Uncle Duck with all the money over there and make sure that you could overpay your physicians. That's not always what you have to do. There's a hidden aspect that I always like to sell to physicians in these rural locations, and that is the lower cost of living. When you're in a lot of these smaller communities, you can be making $300,000, and it would take about $500,000 to $600,000 to enjoy the same type of lifestyle that you would have in a metropolitan area, and we all know that income's not available. So by coming to these rural areas, earning say $300,000, you'd be living on the same lifestyle about $180,000 in these metropolitan areas. So
right.
It's a major selling point that a lot of you have in your back pockets that does not get exploited enough, in my opinion. And then, of course, loan forgiveness is more readily available and more readily active with the clients that we have in rural locations.
And that's, all of these things that we're talking about, these are things that when you're an employer and you partner with Curare, these are just some of the strategies that we're going to provide to you to ensure that you're putting your best foot forward and you're really able to make a great impression and secure the commitments of these physicians. So just like you're saying, Jerry, I think it's important to recognize what it does take to get people excited about joining. And loan repayment is a huge thing. Cost of living is a huge thing. We have an employer right now. I was just talking with another one of our recruiters this morning that they're in a fairly smaller town, only about an hour away from some major metros. However, they have really decided that they want to make sure they're attracting top talent. They found a way to offer almost $500,000 in loan repayment over just a few years.
Wow.
And when you combine that with the lower cost of living, that's basically $700,000-$800,000 over the period of a few years. That's not coming out of your pocket. And it's, what's that worth to you? So I think employers really owe it to themselves to break these numbers down to the candidates. But frankly, that's why you work with Curare, because we've got these numbers. We know cost of living. We know everything about the demographics of your community, sometimes maybe better than you do, and you've been living there a long time. So that's why you work with us. So we can definitely help make sure that you're finding the people you need.
So give us a call when you're looking for those physicians, or if you want to explore rural healthcare opportunities, give us a call. We'll be able to hook you up with a lot of candidates, a lot of clients, and we look forward to next week, and you have yourselves a great weekend.